الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، قال الله عز وجل في كتابه المجيد بعد أن نقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجزاء سيئة سيئة مثلها فمن عفا وأصلح فأجره على الله إنه لا يحب الظالمين. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اتقي دعوة المظلوم فإن ليس بينه وبين الله حجاب. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected elders, fellow brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In today's speech, I want to highlight some very important life lessons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He gives to the believers. And this has to do with the realities of life. From the realities of life, and this is inevitable, no matter how big you are, how much of a king you are, no matter where you work, no matter what race, from the realities of life is that each and every single one of us will face trials. However they may take, the car could break down, maybe a fight with the spouse, maybe something happened at work. All these are various trials. These are various frictions we come across in our day-to-day life, obstacles. And in regards to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He delivers an amazing lesson on how to deal with these frictions. From the realities of life is that some of these frictions may be caused by our fellow humans. It may not necessarily be that the car breaks down and now we have trouble. But that's a car's problem. It's not another human. But when it is another human, when it is a fellow Muslim brother, when it is someone we interact with at work, how should we deal with this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He beautifully shows us a spectrum on the methods of dealing with this. First and foremost, we have to understand that when there's a trial, a tribulation given to us by another human, that in itself is a test from Allah. If someone is giving us difficulty, we must understand, have this in our conscious mind, that in itself is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just not a person giving me difficulty, but have this in our conscious mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً. For some of you, we made others a trial. Meaning, they may clash in ideology, they may clash over some matter. Understand this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And when we have this in our mind, when we have this, that this is from Allah Almighty, our response will change. Point number 2, and this is a very important point, and is derived from the first point, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes others a trial for us. Point number 2 is understanding that when there is some sort of calamity, when there is some sort of friction between individuals, it's not a horizontal interaction. For example, person A oppresses person B. It's not horizontal, it's not restricted to person A and person B. If someone oppresses me or if I oppress someone, it's just not between me and him. Rather, change this to a vertical interaction, right? Person A is oppressing, well, that he has to respond directly to Allah. And person B is being oppressed, well, it's just not a simple matter of, okay, how do I deal with this? Rather, make it a vertical interaction to Allah. How about Allah judge my response? Because there is a correct response. On a spectrum, the one oppressed, he could easily become an oppressor. And this leads me to point number 3. Shaitan loves taking, he loves brainwashing individuals into believing that you are the oppressed. So you could do whatever you want. You could have your way. You could respond in whichever manner you like. Shaitan, he loves this. He loves picking up our mental real estate. He loves putting us in thought loops. He loves making us think, oh, okay, how should I deal with this? How can I harm the individual? That's point number 3. And point number 4 is understand that the ultimate day of hisab, the ultimate day of justice, is the day of judgment. There is no ultimate justice in this world. Right? Because the one who gives ultimate justice is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If someone kills, and the killer, he gets taken to jail, well, that could be justice, but the one he killed is not restored back to life. Right? A mother has still lost a child. So all these points are derived on friction, on what happens in our day-to-day lives. Every single one of us, we face trials. If not today, if not tomorrow, if not next week, at some point, maybe in the past as well. It's a constant reoccurrence. It's a constant theme in the life of every single human. It's found in the Sahaba, it's found in the Prophets. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, and it's directed to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. He's telling him, do you think that you will attain Jannah when the trials of the people of the past have not come to you? مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا. The various forms of calamities and trials and tribulations. وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ. They were afflicted with such calamities where it felt like the ground beneath them was being shaken. حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ, where the Prophet of Allah himself said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعْهُ مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, that where is the help of Allah? And Allah in return responds, أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. So trials, they're part of every single human's life. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I want to direct the attention to the verses which I recited above. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He shows us how we deal with such situations. And it's very beautifully written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter 42, verse 40. And it's a sequence of verses, and I want every single one of us to remember these verses. Because it's a lifestyle. It's just not hidayah, it's a lifestyle. It's how we act as humans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا فَمَنْ عَفَا وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. In this one verse, chapter 42, verse 40, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He goes over the spectrum of responses. How could you respond if someone does harm to you? And this is the spectrum. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. Point, response number one is give the individual a taste of his own medicine. Right? We have this saying, I'm going to give him a taste of his own medicine. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. That if someone were to do you harm, سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا, you have the right to do equal harm. سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا, and note that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over here, He categorizes that as sayyi'ah. It's not a hasana. If someone does you harm, and then you in return, you respond in an equal force. Well, it's not a good thing. It's still sayyi'ah, but it's your right. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. This is level number one. Give the individual a taste of his own medicine. Level number two, فَمَنْ عَفَى. Now this is greater, right? This is فَمَنْ عَفَى. You forgive the individual. This would fall under the category of forgive, but don't forget. Maybe the harm is to the extent where you just can't interact with the individual anymore. فَمَنْ عَفَى. Right? So we forgive. I don't have to interact with you because I have a bad history of there's a bad taste in my mouth after this transaction or after this interaction. It's I could forgive, right? I don't have to interact with you. This is level number two, from an afa, the greatest level, number three, and this is the epitome of what we should try to achieve. فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ. Right? They not only forgive, but they forget. وَأَصْلَحَ. They rejoin ties. فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Then Allah Himself will reward the individual. إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not love oppressors. In fact, in other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's very seldom you find in the Quran that Allah curses someone, but Allah curses the oppressor. Allah la'natullahi ala al-zalimin. Right? The curse of Allah, the la'na of Allah is on the oppressor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the next verse, He mentions, وَلَمَنِ انْتَصَرَ بَعْدَ ظُلْمِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَا عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ. وَلَمَنِ انْتَصَرَ بَعْدَ ظُلْمِ. That whoever defends himself after oppression, فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَا عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ. You can't blame the individual. He's defending himself. انْتَصَرَ بَعْدَ ظُلْمِ. If he's oppressed and he defends himself, you can't blame the individual. إِنَّمَا السَّبِيلُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَظْلِمُونَ النَّاسِ. Blame is on the individuals, يَظْلِمُونَ النَّاسِ, who oppress the people. إِنَّمَا السَّبِيلُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَظْلِمُونَ النَّاسِ وَيَبْغُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. And they spread hatred in the lands without any right. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And for those individuals, there's a severe punishment. وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is once again reinstating how our response should be. وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ, be patient. وَغَفَرَ, and forgive. إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. Because that indeed is like the epitome of mannerism. Right? It's the apex. You forgive and you forget. وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allow us to respond to trials correctly. He allow us to really soften our hearts. Because trials every individual person will face. Right? And it may not be on an individual level. It may be on an organizational level. It may be part of business. Right? But trials, they will always come. There will always be an obstacle. So how do we respond? This, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is teaching us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow our hearts to be softened. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to stay united through thick and thin. So that a greater goal could be accomplished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to stay united and allow us to really populate the masjid and really bring upon the light of community. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. And continuing on this theme of forgiveness, right? About forgiving and forgetting. I want to share a very beautiful hadith, a story of a Sahabi by the name of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala an. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala an. We've heard of the famous Sahabi Amr ibn al-As, right? The one who conquered Egypt. So this is his son, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, also a Sahabi. Now, it is said about this individual, right, this Sahabi, right, that he would spend his days reading the Quran, spend his days fasting, and spend the nights in prayer, right? يَصُومُ النَّهَارَ وَيَقُومُ اللَّيْلِ. Now imagine your days are spent fasting, your nights are spent in tahajjud, right? And it was also said that he would complete a Quran every single day. You know how virtuous of a man this man, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu is. You know, what is his virtue? So he is sharing this story, and he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day he was addressing the Sahaba in the Masjid, and a man from the Ansar, he walks in, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whilst addressing the Sahaba, he stops, and then he tells the Sahaba, see the individual that walked in, he is a man of Jannah. Now you could probably imagine the Sahaba, they were bewildered. SubhanAllah, a man of Jannah, you know, that's the goal, right? I wonder what this individual does. But regardless, Prophet ﷺ, after that, he carried on addressing the Sahaba. Second day comes. Second day, once again, Prophet ﷺ, he is addressing the Sahaba. The very man from the Ansar, he walks into the Masjid, and Prophet ﷺ, he directs his attention towards the man, and he tells his companions, my companions, you see that man right there? He is a man of Jannah. 2 days in a row. The third day, same series of events. Prophet ﷺ is addressing the Sahaba. The man from Ansar, he walks in. And Prophet ﷺ, for a third day in a row, he says, you see that man right there? He is a man of Jannah. He is a man of Jannah. Now you could imagine the Sahaba that were sitting there, right? They probably think about their own actions. Okay, this is what we do. But what has this individual done to attain this rank? 3 days out of 3, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, this individual is a man of Jannah. So in that group of Sahaba whom Prophet was addressing was Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala an. So now he thought of a plan. He said, I want to know what this individual does. So he went to the Ansari Sahaba's home. He went to the individual's home. And he said, look, brother, I've gotten a fight with my parents and I just don't want to go home for a few days. Is it possible that I may stay over, for a few nights? And obviously, Arab hospitality, it's top tier, it's excellent. He said, absolutely, you have ijazah to stay in my home for 3 days. So Abdullah ibn Amr, he said, okay, amazing. SubhanAllah, I want to see what you do. He didn't tell the individual this, but in his mind, he said, I want to know what he does. For 3 days out of 3, he was given the status of Jannati. He's a man of Jannah. So now I get to finally see. Now I'm in his sanctuary. I'm in his home. I can see what kind of ibadah he does. So on the first day, he woke up for Fajr, right? They went to the Masjid for Fajr Salah, had some interaction, and then the Ansari Sahaba, he went on about his day. You have to go to the farm. You have to earn your daily living. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he said, it's not anything too crazy. It's not like he's reading a Quran every night. Then obviously comes home from work, they have some interaction, maybe some meal, probably go read some salah, and at night, the individual didn't get up to read the Hajj. It's not anything that would blow Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As's from his caliber. That if he would spend his night reading salah, right? This individual's not doing the same thing. I wonder what he does. So the second day he says, okay, maybe on the second day I'll see something. Second day, exact same series of events. Wake up for Fajr, go to the Masjid, have some interaction, right? Then they both go on about their day. Come back, same series of events, right? Maybe eat, maybe go to the Masjid, and call it a night. So day 3, same series of events. They wake up for Fajr, right? They go to the Masjid, maybe have some food, come back, and call it a day. So on the third day, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he's thinking to himself, there's nothing that's eye striking. It's not anything that comes to the eye that, oh, this individual is doing something that would give him the Jannati status, that he is a man of Jannah. I wonder what it is. So then on the third day, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he tells the truth to the individual. He says, oh, my brother, right? I actually have not gotten into a fight with my parents. Rather, I just wanted to stay in your house and see what kind of a'mal you do, what kind of good deeds you do, right? And he tells him the series of events that, you walked into the masjid 3 days, and 3 days out of 3, Prophet ﷺ directed his attention towards you. And he said that this individual over here, he is a man of Jannah. Is there anything you do? Is there anything you do that I may not know of, right? That Prophet ﷺ has given you this status. So Sahabi starts thinking to himself. To be honest, not anything that comes to mind. I don't do anything exceptional, right? So now Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, radiallahu ta'ala an, his loss, he's saying, okay, subhanallah, well, I guess that's that. And he heads for the door. Then the Sahabi calls him back. He said, wait, hold on 1 minute before you leave. There's one thing I do, and this is the point of why I want to mention the story. It says, every night when I go to sleep, every single night when I go to sleep, anyone that has done me wrong, I forgive them. Every single night. So not a night goes by where I don't forgive those who have done me wrong in the day. So a new morning, it's a new heart. There's no malice in my heart. And point number 2 is, I don't envy and I'm not jealous of anyone. I remove all envy and jealousy from my heart. Whatever status, whatever wealth Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given my other brothers, barakallah fi. Allah bless them more. Right? But as for me, these are the 2 things I do. I could be doing it on my bed, right? You may not know, but I make this dua, oh Allah, remove all this envy and jealousy from my heart, and oh Allah, forgive all those who have done me wrong throughout the day. And Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he says, yeah, this is what it is, right? And it goes back into the theme of the verse which I mentioned. And this is the one verse I want to constantly reinforce. Because when we look in our day-to-day lifestyle, right, and when we just have an expansive mind and see what's going on, when we're in a city with a lot of crime, it's because these principles are not being followed. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. That if someone does us wrong, then we just restrict it to an equal action. At the bare minimum. You don't do more, right? But a greater deed is فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ. The same way the Sahabi was given the status of Jannati 3 times out of 3. You could tell what level he had over the other Sahaba. They were bewildered. We strive for the Allah, for the sake of Allah. We've sacrificed everything for the sake of Allah. But 3 times out of 3, Prophet ﷺ classified this Sahabi Jannati. What does he do? فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Not another day comes where I don't treat you the same, regardless of how you treat me the day before. This is the epitome of mannerism. This is the epitome of Islam, of joining brotherhood. فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. This is the one verse that I want to drill into every individual here. The 3 levels of response. How do we respond? فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. And indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not love the oppressors. And just one point I want to mention is the hadith which I mentioned in the beginning. اتَّقِي دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, اتَّقِي دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ. That fear the dua of the one who has been oppressed. فَإِنَّ لَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ حِجَابٌ. Right? Because between him and Allah, there is no barrier. It's a direct call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's help will come immediately. اتَّقِي دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ. And this is a warning for those who have, or who would possibly take the right of others. That stay back, be cautious. اتَّقِي دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ فَإِنَّ لَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ حِجَابٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allow us to stay united. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allow our hearts to be filled with love. And whatever trials and tribulations come, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to have the correct response to them. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر من نصر الإسلام والمسلمين، واخذل من خذل الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اجعل بلاد الإسلام آمنة مطمئنة من كل البليات والآفات. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. أقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Please ensure the lines are straight and there are no gaps. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى، والذي قدر فهدى، والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء نحوا. سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله، إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى. ونيسرك لليسرى، فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى. سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى، ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا. قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى. بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى. إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى، صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair. I just want to emphasize parking. Alhamdulillah, we managed to hire somebody. He comes for 2 hours and 3 hours. He sacrifices Jum'ah. He's doing the second Jum'ah. And he's hired to be here. Please follow whatever he tells you, inshallah, brother. He's just upstairs to make life easy for us so we don't look bad in front of the neighbors. We have patient who's coming for their appointment and they need specialists. So please, let's respect that, alhamdulillah. Now, when we are only have 20 or 18 parking lots that we have to occupy, the rest we have to go to a lot of plazas, inshallah. So we have a person who's letting you go back and forth. Please listen to him, inshallah. Also, we have a halaqah here with Shaykh Ahmed. It's almost a year. He's doing the hijrah, the second part now for the seerah. Please come attend it starting after Maghrib, inshallah. So, also, the school, alhamdulillah, we have almost 40 kids now. We started almost 3 months ago, and it's getting more and more, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, the quality is amazing. We have principals, we have 4 teachers. Each class has only 10 students. That's what we are emphasizing on the quality rather than the quantity. So please come and register if you have the September's come registration is open. Come and register your kids with us, inshallah. Dear brothers and sisters, just one thing, our expenses getting more. We are looking to get moved from this place. Please donate generously. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you all, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.